resolution of grief is very simple. Everyone around the world resolves grief the same way, precisely the same way, because the human mind is the same everywhere, just like the human body is. And the way we resolve grief is we have someone, the person who we've been previously thinking of as lost and gone and in the past, as present here and now, standing here. I don't grieve my father because I have him present right now, and therefore he's present in my life. Emotionally, I have this. This is true of everyone who resolves grief. So shock is one of the chronic stressors, and just the very diagnosis of cancer is a shock. The sound of the words, somebody saying those things, that needs to be transformed, it needs to be resolved so that the stress goes down. The same thing with if a person sees for example, the blood test, and they say, oh yeah, well, every time I think about that, it really hurts. We need to change that and reduce the stress. Traumatic memories produce stress. Shock and trauma. The traumatic memories, like let's say there was a memory of surgery. A person had surgery, and every time they think about the surgery, it makes them feel terrible. They have a whole event in their history. Or maybe they were abused as a child. Maybe they were abused recently. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship. And every time that they start to move forward, these traumatic memories come up. As long as those traumatic memories come up, trauma is just a big word for injury. As long as those injurious memories are there, the person is filled with stress. And if that's chronic, then it'll affect negatively the immune system. So we want to resolve trauma, and we do. We resolve trauma very rapidly within one session. Typically, when people come to see us, they see us 1 to 3 sessions, depending upon this is all dependent upon the ability of the person to feel safe and my ability to produce that kind of safety. If there's enough safety, the person will find out what's going on, notice their mind, and will be able to change it. Grief, of course, we were talking about that, is loss of a loved one. We can resolve that. That's a chronic stressor. And then there's the basic conflict. And I want you to know about the basic conflict. This is something that I do at the Center for New Medicine and the Cancer Center for Hope. It is the first step, the first intervention that we do for anyone who is dealing with anything from colds to cancer. It doesn't matter if it's a sore throat, it's pneumonia, it's whatever it is. It's right there. There's a basic conflict. The conflict is, on the one hand, I want to heal this. On the other hand, I want to keep it the way it is. This is going on in everybody, in me and in everyone else. There's a part of me that wants very much to resolve this and be healthy. Undeniably so. I'm here because I want to heal. On the other hand, there's a part of me that wants to keep it the way that it is. There's another one that's called I want to live, I want to die. This I want to live and I want to die is a common conflict with people who have had very serious illnesses. It's common when people are quite healthy. I want to live and I want to die. I want to be healthy, I want to remain ill. This conflict goes on all the time. If we don't resolve or integrate that conflict, it is one of the major stressors, one of the major chronic stressors that over time will impact negatively your immune system. So, the many health issues include a point of the basic conflict of wanting health and wanting illness. On the one hand, I want the health, consciously or unconsciously. Some people think consciously the only thing they want is ill health. But actually, unconsciously, they want health as well. And this conflict between these two can be resolved because both desires are positively intended. And that's what I want to share with you. I think it's probably the most important thing to share with you. There being no enemy within you at all, and how it's possible to grasp that. So here's this. I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is the telos model, the positive intentions demystified. So there's no mystery to the fact that there's a positive intention behind every part of you, including the part of you that wants to live and the party that wants to die, or the party that wants to be healthy, the party that wants to remain ill. They're both positively intended. And what we can notice is that once we grasp this telos model, we then are freed up to make changes we couldn't change otherwise. The word telos is a Greek word. It's telos in Greek. The word, it means the ultimate goal of all goals. Aristotle said the ultimate goal of all goals for human beings is happiness. That's what everybody is striving for, no matter what they're doing. Okay? Agape is the open-hearted love of the one for the many. Telos is the wisdom of the many that seek the one, the whole, complete, the holy, the sacred, happiness, whatever you want to call that. So, what happens is this. Imagine that I'm walking down a street. As I walk down the street, on one side of the street there's somebody who is building a house. This person's building a brand new house, building it from the ground up. On the other side of the street, there's somebody who's burning a house down. They're brand new house. They put gasoline on it and they're burning it down. I go on the street and I see that I can videotape these activities. And I say to the person who is building the house, what are you doing that for? What is your goal? What do you intend to get by building the house? And that person might say, well, I want shelter for my family. I'm building the house. Makes reasonable sense to me. Go to the other person and say, oh, you're burning a perfectly good house down to the ground. What are you doing that for? What's your goal? The person says, I want the insurance money. Say, oh, okay. Now, what happens with most people on earth is they stop asking questions. I find that it's very, very difficult to inspire curiosity in people because they go, well, now I know. This one is a good person, this person's a bad person, this person over here who's building a house, they want to protect their family. Wonderful. This person wants to burn the house down to get insurance money. It's illegal. It's bad. End of story. And they don't ask any more questions. And that's convenient for them. It doesn't complicate anything. But guess what happens if you stay curious? If you just stay curious a little bit longer, you go back to the one who says, I want to build this house to get shelter for my family. And you say, what do you hope to get by having shelter for your family? What will that give you personally? The person says, well, when I can do that, I can provide for my family. I'll have self-esteem. You know, I'll like myself. I want to feel self-esteem and self-worth and self-love. That makes me feel good. Say, well, that's really great. We say, that's obvious. The person builds the house to get the shelter, to feel self-esteem. Go to the other one and say, you know, you're burning the house down to get the insurance money. What are you trying to get by that? What do you hope to have by having the insurance money? And the person says, power. If I have a lot of money, I'll have power. And you go, oh, it's a little different. But then people typically are not curious anymore. They stop. They go, okay, I got it. Self-esteem and power, end of the story. And they don't ask anything more. So they don't learn anything more. But if you take a little bit longer and you go back to the one and say, you know, you're building the house to get the shelter for your family because you really want to have self-esteem, self-worth. You want to like yourself. He says, yeah, that's right. Well, if you do like yourself, if you get all that, and you have self-worth, what's that going to give you? What is your goal of that goal? And the person says, well, when I feel really good about myself, you know, I'm going to be happy. Say, great. So you're doing this in order to be happy. Yes, I am. Go back to the other one. You're burning the house down in order to get the insurance money, in order to have power. And if you get the power, completely, all the power, what's that going to give you? And the person might not say happy right away. They might say, well, I'll feel good about myself. I have power, and then I won't be afraid of the world anymore. I'll feel more secure. And eventually, if we ask them long enough, that person will say happiness, love, peace, joy. That's what that person wants. Now, this is not excusing terrible behavior. I don't excuse terrible behavior. It just teaches us that there's a distinction between the behavior and the intention, and that everybody is positively intended. There's no one who's negatively intended. If you ask long enough, they will tell you their hope is to have something you will want them to have, which is the sense of peace of mind and happiness. That's what people want. So what we argue with is method. How does the person get there? Not the ultimate goal. When we realize this, we then understand it's not only true of people, whether they're burning houses down or building them up, it's true of every single part that lives within you. Every part of you is positively intended. I want you to understand that because it's contrary to all of our training. But the result of understanding that every part of you is in love with you and is doing the best it can to produce something good is you can then communicate with every part of you. And you can then get results that you can't get if you're in an endless war. So therefore, the telos model works just fine. The healing yes, healing no process reduces stress. It's the first intervention of our cancer protocol. And I want you to understand what happens. We have a part of a person that says, I want to heal, and a part of the same person that says, no, I want to keep things the same. We then find out their positive intentions, their telos, and we'll find it's very, very good on both hands. When these two come together, because they then will be able to come together, they'll create a new level of consciousness that wasn't there before. This new level of consciousness will transcend and include everything that came before. This is true of all evolution, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual evolution. You know, if you have a man and a woman come together who are opposites, what happens is sperm and the egg come together, and then there's a baby that's born. The baby that's born is at a new level from the parents. The baby that's born includes the mother and father within its body, but the baby that's born is greater than the mother and the father. Inside the mother is not the baby, inside the father is not the baby, but inside the baby is the mother and the father, and the mother and the father are not all that's there. The baby is now at a new level of consciousness, a new physical level that's never been before in the history of the world. This is also true of your emotional life. When you integrate opposing emotions such as fear and love, something new is born. The reason to do this is to reduce stress. The basic conflict that goes on behind all illnesses is, I want to heal this, I don't want to heal this. And when that is understood and we resolve that conflict, we integrate the two, something new is born, and what is born engenders self-worth, self-love, and a new level of wholeness. And this is exactly what we do. It's the first intervention in our work at the Center for New Medicine and at the Cancer Center for Hope, as long as the person is available for that. Now, stressful events, other stressful events that damage health and or prevent recovery. Of course, we know about internal conflicts, right? Healing yes, healing no. The shocking images and sounds I talked about, traumatic memories I spoke about, grief, belief barriers. Now, this is a really important one. I learned this from a dear friend of mine, Robert Dilts. Belief barriers that go on within our lives that prevent us from health are things like, it's hopeless. A common thing for people to say is, okay, it's hopeless. Nobody can heal this, and I can't heal it. That's a person who walks around with this belief. Nobody else can heal this, and I can't heal it, so therefore there's no point in learning the conflict integration process. There's no point in doing anything emotional because it's hopeless. There's no point in doing anything at all. It's hopeless. Nobody can heal it, and I can't either. That's a belief barrier, very common.